on this computer. And here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Builder Virtual Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver, and we lost Angela.
Oh.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I don't know. Well, see, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right, somebody else be in charge of the stopping the videos, please.
Yeah, hey, just quick note for everybody jumping on. If you're turning on your video, you might have to turn it off just because we've got over 129 participants and we can't have everybody on video. It'll just be us here at the top of the hour. Take it away, Meredith.
Okay, here we go. One more time. Welcome to the Builder Virtual Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver. I'm the principal here at Meredith Communications, and the world's changed. Like something big happened a few days ago, and we have to figure out how to adapt and adopt to it. And I'm known for my sense of humor, but all kidding aside and very seriously, there's a lot going on and we're stressed. And it's been interesting the last 2 days, really talking to so many of our builder clients and others around at how different everybody's handling it. And it seems like, at least for the folks I've talked to, they're all kind of in a different place with it, which I kind of get and kind of don't get. So my goal was to create a safe space for us to get together and invite some of my friends and some of the smartest people I know to help answer questions. And I think a good outcome from this would be to kind of get us all on the same page as an industry. Here, very personally, what I can tell you is when 2008 happened, I had been in business about 7 years at that time. And 2008, of course, when I say that number, you guys know what I mean, was the collapse of the housing industry. And I sat back. I was looking at all kinds of data, which isn't nearly as good as the data now. And I didn't really have confidence in what I was looking at. I didn't have confidence in my own instincts and insights. I didn't lead. And as a result, my family, on a personal level, paid a pretty high financial price. And our clients paid a high financial price. And so I promised myself that should something happen again, that I would have confidence, I would trust my instincts, and I would be willing to lead. And I don't know if I know the answer, so that's why I invited the smartest people I know to help me. But I'm here to lead today. And I'm here to create a space where we can figure this out and move forward, because whether or not this turns out to be a 2-week event or an 8-week event or a 3-month event, we don't know yet, but it is an event. And it's time to get very serious and confident in our abilities, reading our data, and moving forward. Because the number one lesson that I learned from 2008 that I promised myself would not happen again was I reacted too slowly. Not only did I not have enough confidence in myself and what I could do and what I knew to be right at that time, I didn't act fast enough. So on Sunday afternoon, when this idea occurred to me, I launched it, made it happen. We've got over 300 people joining us today. So we've definitely hit a nerve. We're definitely doing something right. And what we're here to do is help you act faster, think smarter. And we're not just going to do this once. We're going to do it weekly. In the meantime, you're welcome to email or text or call. Well, don't call because we're bombarded with calls. Email, live chat, or text any of us, because all we're doing all day long is triaging. That's all we're doing. So in the meantime, we want to help you act faster. So with that being said, I'll introduce who's with me today to make sure everybody knows. In the square to my, I don't know, what's that?
This one? Or this one?
To me, it's opposite of what I see on my screen and what you see. But at the top of the thing here, right next to me, my soul sister, Carrie Mulcrone. Carrie is we won't say how many year veteran of sales and marketing. She's done it all. She's literally sold homes herself. She's managed large sales teams, and now she consults and speaks on it and does all of the things. So that's Carrie. All right, to the square below Carrie, we've got Matt Riley.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Matt's vice president at Group 2 Advertising. Group 2 serves many of the largest builders across this country, developing their marketing and advertising campaigns, concepts, all the good stuff. They're amazing at what they do, and it's awesome to have him. And in the one directly below me, weighing in at, okay, I'm not going to say, is the one and only Mike Lyon. And we all know that
180 pounds. 180.
Oh, that's really good.
6'1". Svelte,
Wow.
cardio. Got to keep it moving, guys, in these uncertain times.
Oh my God, I got to lose some weight. Okay. We all know Mike is the king of all things online sales counselor, who I think in our discussion today, we're going to say is the pivot crucial thing to this whole thing. Yeah. So it's so good that Mike's here, and we're so glad. And then last but not least, our nurturer, our one that helps us stay in touch with our customers, that helps us understand our data, that understands how to follow up on every single lead, is Angela McKay with ECI, also known as Lasso.
Hey, everyone.
Now our promise to you today, and I was very clear in all the messages about this event, is there will be no sales pitches and there will be no promoting. And so if I see that in the chat from any of the participants, I'm going to remove you from the meeting. And that's just how it's going to be, because we're here to serve today and we're here to help each other. And of course, our resident expert on all things economic and the landscape of what's happening out there. We also have expert, you don't see her, but you will hear her. We have expert Ali Wolf from the Myers Group. So Ali, say hi to everybody. Baby?
I think is she still muted?
I thought I just saw her hand. Or was that you, Mike?
No, I'm showing she's unmuted, but she was chatting saying she was having some issues. So
yeah, all right. She's working on it.
Yeah.
And we'll figure that out. Maybe one of you guys can help her while I carry on. Okay, so I'm going to divide this particular meeting into 3 sections. Section number 1 is sales and sales related issues. Section number 2 is going to be marketing and marketing related. And if we want to flip flop those, we can. And then 3 is going to just be basic operational kind of miscellaneous things we've got to get done, blah, 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 as it relates, okay? Now, all of you are very, very, very encouraged and welcome to chat with us. And if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom, you will see a Manage Participants button. We're at 212. Thank you. And if you will click that, you will see a list of different people and phone numbers that are on the call. But by expanding that, if you look straight down, you will see where you can chat with us. You can give a thumbs up. You can say you need a coffee break. You can clap. You can say yes, no. You can do all kinds of things, okay? What we need to do is we want you to participate. So if you will write into the chat box that you have a question, one of myself or my illustrious co-hosts will unmute you so that everyone can hear you and you can ask your question. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can just type in your question as a chat and we will answer it, okay? So here we go. So we've got this obstacle to overcome, and the way that I see it, very straight, is so far we've been having a record-setting, mind-blowing, unbelievable year 2020 with I know Matt and I have compared notes, record-setting website traffic year over year so far. It was awesome. And that seems to continue through about this weekend. And then as of this weekend, we're seeing some declines. I'll let Matt speak to what he's seeing in just a second. What I think we're in right now for the next 7 to 10 days is what I'm calling scrambling and settling. This is the scrambling and settling period. Carrie and I have been comparing notes probably 25 times a day over text as we've been talking, and we're fielding all these calls. And what I'm seeing is that each of you and your builder group are coming to the reality of what's happening at a different pace. And a lot of that's very local market driven by depending on if the schools are closed yet in your market. And I say yet because there will be if they aren't. Is the retail closed yet? Are you to a stay indoors except for essential trips to grocery, bank? I mean, that has already happened in parts of the country. So it is a very different environment. So each of you needs to listen to what we're saying based on thinking through the construct of what's happening in your local market, because this does vary by market, right? So if you're not quite to where some of these other markets are, I think you will be. But if you aren't, okay, but now's the time. I think you've got about 7 to 10 days of people scrambling and settling. All will eventually come to the realization they're going to be working from home, and most of retail open type establishments that are non-essential will be closed. That's what I'm thinking. My co-hosts are free to disagree with me in just a second. But within the next 7 to 10 days, while we're scrambling and settling into the new reality, this is your window to get organized. And that's why I launched this thing and said, we're going to do it by Tuesday. Because I would love to see you by Friday or the following Monday. It is my belief that you should be ready for virtual selling by Monday at the latest of next week. Because I believe for the short term, only the short term, folks, the short term, you're going to need to move to a virtual selling model. All right. I'm going to let Matt or Mike, why don't you guys chime in? What do you think?
I'll go. I'll jump in and go first, Mike, and you can jump. No, I think that there's a couple of things. If you've been around since 2000, and if you were around in the downturn in 2008, 2009, flashbacks, PTSD, that's a real thing. Like, you know, I remember going through it of, you know, even in little blips in between then and now of having like, oh, are we there again? And the answer is no. I think that now is different. And I think that the reason it's different is because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're just not quite sure how long it's going to take us to get to the light. But in the original recession, we didn't even know where the tunnel was, much less the light at the end of it. So this is definitely a period of time. Obviously, everything is a period of time, but this is a much shorter period of time than what we could ever have imagined that would have been in the Great Recession. Yesterday morning, I woke up, and I'll just share a couple, like 5 quick points that for me was like a moment of clarity. And so, reading, listening, it was perspective, patience, operational excellence, innovation, and messaging. And inside of those 5 things, if we can get our heads wrapped around all of those things, then we're going to be just fine. And what Meredith, what you're saying, get ready for virtual selling. Yes, those are the same recommendations, FaceTime appointments, making sure that our message and our tonality and our marketing is appropriate to where it is. And as we're operating in triage mode or PR mode or whatever you want to call it with builders all across the country in different markets, each market we're seeing is different. Some are saying, don't touch anything. We're still seeing record sales all the way up into Washington State, just outside of Seattle is seeing record sales and record still foot traffic. So, and it's really interesting to see how that goes. You know, from a website activity perspective and what we're seeing, what I'm seeing is, I was looking at the numbers last week. Thursday or so, and I was looking at March over March through that month to date through about Thursday. I was seeing about a 30% increase that at that time. On Sunday, I looked, same period ending on Sunday, I saw a uptick of around 80%, but I literally pulled it right before we started, and we're still up, by the way, but we've dipped down a little bit over the past couple of days. But we're still up March over March, 51% as a whole, right? And so a lot of the questions, and we can get into this in a minute, but a lot of questions are, what do we do with our ad spend? Where do we appropriate money? Do we put everything on pause? And again, that it's a not necessarily a blanket statement. We can get into that in a minute, but that's my big picture overview of what I see and what I think. Mike, what do you?
Yeah, Mike, chime in. Where are you at?
You bet. I think well, first of all, thanks, Meredith, and thanks everybody too for joining us and spending time with us. Appreciate all of you. We have the opportunity to work with builders all over the place, and I think kind of the way California goes is the way it's going to go everywhere else. And so you're seeing California basically start doing private one-on-one appointments, ultimately virtual appointments. So I think that's what we're going to see. So you're right, Meredith, and that's the direction you're going. You better be ready to do private one-on-one appointments with the door locked and specific times set. And then ultimately probably virtual if it gets real serious out there. And that's okay. Like you said, it's okay. It's temporary, but just communicating that is hard. I mean, that's where builders are kind of getting confused on what to do. Is like, do we keep it open too and let people come in or not? Do we have certain hours that are just for open appointments and then some for private appointments? At the end of the day, you've got to get together as a leadership team and say, what are we doing? And I would just exercise in this time right now. Just go ahead and go to where it's going to be. Go to the private one-on-one.
Thank you.
And go to virtual appointments. So traffic aside, whatever has happening aside, the reality is we're going to get there. Just get there quick. And it sucks. I mean, Carrie can speak to this a little bit more. It's going to suck for salespeople because they don't know how to do it.
No. And
you'll have a third of them that do, a third of them that want to, and they have to learn, and a third of them that don't know how to turn on their computer if they're not careful. And if you guys are with this chat out, we want to see how comfortable do you feel about your sales team handling virtual sales? And
I see a couple of chats coming in, and I want a couple of you guys pop in there and handle those.
Yeah, you bet. So Carrie, what do you think about salespeople and how they're handling that?
So I've been through a few of these. And one thing, I know, 39 and 4 downturns. No, but I think that the thing that I remember the most to help, and then I'll explain to you what salespeople are going through, is the last one that you guys are all referring to was builders were trying to sell everything off to get cash because they didn't know anything. So it's just like, sell it off, don't build. And now I think we want to see how we can continue to sell more. So it's a completely different mindset. So don't be in a time warp and go back then to where it was total cash is king. We're a production builder, but we'll do everything custom. We're going to change our whole business model. That is panic. And so the word that I can say is you just don't panic. Be very diligent. Don't be desperate. So from the sales perspective, the thing that everybody should really understand is I think today we have 3 customers. We've always talked about, well, we have 4, we have a bunch of them, but you've got your online customer, but here's what you really need to know. You've got your realtors, I'm sure we'll talk about that, how you reach them, and obviously virtual will be best with them. You've got your customer currently that's freaked out, that they're not going anywhere, so it's for sure virtual. Then you've got the people who literally, some of them, like, I hate to say this, they don't even vote. So they're like, I'm not worried, open your damn model. So you have to figure out who is your customer? How do you serve your customer from the sales perspective, which obviously starts with marketing first. So I'll talk sales when we get to sales, but overview, understand we're in a world of sustaining and gaining, not selling off and panicking.
Oh, that's fantastic insight. So let me circle back. We've had a ton of people hop in since I started at 4:00. So we're all glad that you're here. We're at 234. That's amazing. Most of the time we do these webinars. If we have a handful live, we're pretty excited. So we're all glad that you're here. Carrie, I love the breakdown idea of realtors, prospects, and under contract. Like, I love this idea of dividing this up.
Correct.
In my mind, what I've been telling everybody is exactly what Mike said. I knew there was a reason I invited you, Mike, is exactly what Mike said. Is like, my whole business philosophy has always been start as you mean to go on. Like, start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. And I really believe for the short term, you've got to go to virtual selling. And honestly, I didn't even think that was going to be a talking point today, because I thought that was so obvious. But I've spent 2 days with really upset, freaked out, if you don't mind the word, concerned, nervous owners, sales managers, etc., all like, no, everybody at the models, we're open for business. And I don't think that's realistic, if I'm just being honest. So here's my thought process. Number one, it starts with your website. So I think all of your websites need to be updated immediately to showcase the ability for by appointment. And I think I might even, and I don't know, how, Carrie, if you like this word, or the word private, because that's a little weird, but right, like by private appointment. Mm-hmm. If somebody has a better word, please give it to me. Mm-hmm. But I think exclusive and one-on-one. Because we're talking about
look at that. You see chat's going, that's great. It's personal, it's one-on-one appointment.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So I want you on your website, every community page, if you're a community builder, where it has your model hours, above that needs to be changed immediately to say by one-on-one appointment or virtual appointments available. Now, you can still leave your hours there. And as an owner, if you still want to require your salespeople to physically go and sit there, that's fine. But the expectation that in your social media, your email blasts, your whatever, you're going to keep telling people to come visit us for our open house this weekend is just ludicrous and tone deaf. And I don't know how to be more direct than that. It makes it sound like you're not paying attention, which is actually damaging to your brand and not that helpful. Angie, you want to jump in?
Well, I just wanted to say on that note about communication, and have a look at those email blasts that you have in your sales process, or automate. Stop. I think Kevin Oakley said this last week, Mike, with you, is stop automation. Really check the content and make sure that it is still relevant today. So many of the follow-up processes that we have are not taking into consideration the times right now.
Yeah. So I literally got an email yesterday from this women's online clothing retailer that said vacation away. And it was a picture of a suitcase, and get your swimsuit and gear and stuff for your spring vacation. Seriously? Right. What are you doing? Why are you like, now you're taunting me. I'm at home 24 hours a day with a 12-year-old trying to run a business in my house, quarantined, and I'm having to cook 3 times a day. Now you're just making me mad.
Yeah.
I would
Matt,
go in,
jump in.
I would go in on, because a lot of your campaigns, your emails, your social media posts, all of those things, typically you're going to sit down and do those in bulk. And then, because you're personalizing them at the time. They're not automated. They're not always automated canned emails or social media posts. You've thought them out carefully. You've planned them out carefully on a media schedule, but you did it 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, we're in a different world than we were 10 days ago. And so what I would recommend you do is you go in and you turn all of that off. nothing should go out automatically without a manual click. If you're using social media to make your posts, or like a Sprout Social or Agora Pulse or anything, like any type of social media management platform, I would not go out further than one day at a time, and make sure that all of that is, thought through and the copy is read through attentively to make sure that it's not tone deaf, right? We're not going to send something out that's blatantly offensive in general, but the danger is going to be tone deaf to where we are.
Yeah.
And so having that breakdown it can cause cause people to be annoyed. And I certainly, and just like everyone else, we don't want to, enough with the sending out of the emails of we're cleaning, here's what we're doing. We value your safety and ours. We should always value all of our safety. If I see that one more time, I'm going to go bonkers in my inbox. And I'm even getting it from virtual companies that are all based online. I don't need to know any of that. So I would get straight into managing your message, managing the tone in your copy, and get right into making sure that we're making sure people know I've got content, right? And we don't have to put COVID-19 and everything that we talk about either. Let's just keep it as normal as possible, but get our content out there that lets people know that we can work with them the way that they want to work with.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry, Ange, go ahead.
No, I think it was.
I think it's Allie.
It was Allie.
Oh, Allie, yay, sorry. Allie, jump in, please. Everybody, this is Allie Wolf from the Myers Group.
This is the only thing I was going to say is when we talk about this idea of the one-on-one meetings, I don't think we should act like it's anything that will be not taken completely in stride from the buyers anyways. I just got an email from Redfin that says they're canceling all of their open houses and they're only allowing 2 customers per tour. This is becoming very standard. And so I think having that be on there is probably one of the most critical things. Otherwise, you're just behind the times on that, and that's let alone the virtual component as well.
Oh my God, Allie, thank you so much, because that is exactly what I'm trying to say, except you just said it better. My main concerns as a person that kind of comes at everything from a big picture strategist hat is that, one, you're going to appear tone deaf. And then it's going to be so tone deaf that you'll be behind the times. That number 2, you're so behind the times. That 3, you actually damage your brand in this process.
Right.
That's what I want you to avoid. Piggybacking on Matt, I've got several very specific instructions I can share with you to get down really tactical. That these are the instructions that I've given the blog writers here at Meredith Communications. Number 1, when you're writing copy, whether it's email, social, blog, whatever kind of copy you're writing, number 1, it is still okay. Of course, you should still be promoting. You can still promote that featured home. You can still promote that community. You can still promote. You should keep your marketing going during this time. But number 2, I want you to replace all of your call to actions from visit our model, come to our open house, to visit our website. And then I want you to add to your website call to actions, graphics that highlight all of your interactive content. Browse from the convenience of your sofa and virtually view all of our plans. Like, everything you're doing now should be to promote people getting on the website. And once they get there, your OSC kicks in. But I think it sounds incredibly tone deaf and just out of the loop to keep saying, come to our open house, come to our model, even if your models are still open. There is a difference between what we publish and put on social media here as our brand and appearance to the world and what we do. And if those of you are on here that don't know that, like, seriously, I mean, like, really, all of us live 2 lives. We live the life we live on social, and we live our regular. Come on, not really.
You know, Meredith, I have a question for you on that, because I've been asked that a lot today. So we're talking about copying, we're talking about writing and messaging and all of that, which everybody on here works hard every day. Be careful, I think, of the words that you're using too. There are some things that are just like, is safe the right word? I don't think that safe is the right word, just because people, they're not as scared as they're just confused. And so think about the messages that you give and you deliver that says like safe haven. I got from somebody today. I'm like, I'm sorry, no. It's like, how do you want to reach your customer best? Is know your customer and reach them that way.
Yeah. So I had a conversation today with a client who I think is on the line, whoop, whoop, and we were fleshing out changes to the website, and we were saying the difference between we remain open and we are open. And it's that simple. The word remain alludes to something bigger, kind of negative, kind of something, versus we're open and we are ready to serve you. Get with our OSC for a one-on-one appointment or virtual appointment. So I'm seeing a lot of good comments tracking us on that. So I think we can move from that. I felt like that was our biggest topic though, because honestly, y'all here have been writing in that you're already doing this, but I'm telling you, everyone I've talked to, this has been a big concern. So I'm excited to see this group is with that and you're tracking us. Yes, Mike Lyon.
I always want to make sure like a good student, I raise my hand. I didn't do that when I was in middle school. I got in trouble.
I bet.
I'm fairly certain that's true.
That surprises me.
One thing I have to clarify with everybody too, as you probably heard some of this stuff, is when we talk about virtual appointments, our online sales specialists, just because we're selling virtually doesn't mean it is their job to sell virtually.
No.
I know I'm just making sure everybody knows that.
Right.
Your on-site salespeople need to be adjusting and selling. Your online salespeople, they might have a little bit more overlap and a little bit more that they do with the customer. They still need to hand that customer off. We're seeing a lot of builders that we talk to saying, okay, we need to get them help. They're going to be doing more of these appointments. I was like, that's not their job. It's still not their job. Their job is to communicate, appropriately qualify, and move on to the sales reps. So just so everybody knows on this call, virtual appointments need to be with your real life salespeople, and online sales stays in their lane and pre-qualifies, sets the expectations, and moves them forward. Now they need to leverage different tools. They might be using scheduling tools. They might be using Calendly. They might be using Zoom. You can do a lot of this stuff to automate that process, but it's still a sales rep's job to do the virtual appointment.
There's one question in here that just popped in that says, what about those of us that are now in shelter in place?
Can you, Rebecca, will you clarify if you are on-site salesperson? Are you online sales counselor? Like what role are you? And then we can help you. While you do that, Mike, Carrie, and I, let's flesh out this process from online to on-site because it's been a completely different one. And again, everybody listen to me. I hope you hear me. I'm not panicked. Well, okay, I'm a little panicked, but that's only because I have to cook. But from a business perspective, I'm not. And all I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to upset or scare you, but I'm trying to flesh out because I think this new process, Mike, is going to be a little longer than we might be thinking. Mm-hmm. It could be anywhere from a 2-week to an 8-12-week process. And if it ends up being on the longer end, you're going to want to have it in place like fast, right?
Right.
So that's all I'm trying to do. And then once it's over, we go back and we take our lessons. We take our lessons learned and we go. Okay. So, okay, Carrie, hang tight. One moment, please. Let's flesh this out. So they come to the website.
Right.
They are visiting the site. They're looking at everything like they normally do, which by the way, they are still doing. My numbers are a little flatter than Matt's. I'm kind of impressed by your numbers, Matt. I'm seeing a pretty good little decline since about Sunday, Monday, but still up year over year. Still up year over year. So you could still sell at the 2019 pace, which we were all okay with, right? So what's the big deal? Okay. So they come to the site, they're on it, they're interacting, they're live chatting. The website says available for one-on-one appointments or virtual. Talk to our OSC to learn more. They click to talk to the OSC. Now what happens, Mike?
Well, the same thing happens that normally happens. They're going to engage with the online sales specialist. You know, our mantra for all of our teams that we work with is for online sales is we were built for this, right? So this is, for us, it's all normal. Nothing's changing except the way consumers are trying now have to shift. So they still engage, they still qualify, they still talk about this stuff. Yes, they'll have to address what our new protocol is. Then once it's time for the handoff, that's all that's changing. Before it's very simple. Let's get a time set up for you. Let's get that going. I see a lot of you, Ryan, I saw you on there saying you conducted virtual appointments for people relocating, right? So we've already had a little bit of taste of this. That's totally normal. That's happened before. But before, 90% of the time, they were going to a physical appointment. So now all that's changing is this going to be a virtual appointment? Worst case scenario, phone appointment where you guys are both looking at the website. Best case scenario, a Zoom meeting where you can see video, face, screen, everything, right?
Yeah.
That's all that's changing. So picking the time, confirming the time, sending the information. Yes, you're going to have to adjust templates and processes and confirmation emails. That's the part that needs to change. Again, the stress on the system right now is with the salespeople being able to go, wait, what, how, when, where, what, when, what, and the shelter in place question, which is great. You know, that's when folks are not able to even leave their own home. The question is, what am I showing virtually? Well, that's going back to what Meredith was saying before. You're using the tools on your website or virtual opportunities or photography or things like that. And that's all we have right now, but it's a temporary thing. So I think from the handoff, really is what we're talking about. The only thing that's changing is the type of appointment that we're having, not anything leading up to that. And maybe some more of a discussion around that. I'm sending my warning and love out to all the online sales specialists out there, people who manage online sales specialists. It's in our nature that we just want to help everybody all the time. And we will have a tendency to sit there and just start selling because the customer will talk to us.
Yeah.
We have to move them on because we're going to have more people reaching out.
Carrie, I want to go to you quickly because it's going fast and we have a lot to cover. All right, so Mike's covered online and what they're doing. They're getting you the appointments. You're on site. The person either wants you to talk about do it one-on-one or they want to do it virtual. So what happens next?
So you get the call or the appointment or the lead, however you get that from any of Mike's fabulously trained people, right? And so to the salesperson, the first thing that I say to them is, because the very first thing is listen to Meredith's FaceTime live on Sunday on how to work from home, because you need to do that. And I think you cannot be as casual about picking up the phone in 32 seconds when you're 100% preoccupied and answering it, because you're just going to get into the model and tell them the real deal once they get there. If what we're going to say, you have to value that lead and that call. So you need to have gotten your planned presentation that you had in your model. So your meet and greet, your foyer pounce, I want you to bring that to very seriously what you're going to do with all those calls. And you need to find out as quickly as you can, how is the best way for us to communicate? Is it going to be continue to be virtual, or are we going to set up on a one-on-one? I think that is what brought you out today. How are we going to work together today and establish what that is?
All right, Matt, I'm coming to you next in just a sec. But to wrap up this topic, one of my dear friends and like one of the smartest people I know, Jay Bear, posted the other day, if I was a retailer, I would be posting a snapshot of my temperature every single day to let people know it was safe to come to my store. And I don't know that we're at the point where we're going to be going to stores, but literally I think in communicating on the time they get on site with Carrie, I think you need to be thinking creatively, and if depending on the person's sense of humor, assuring them that it's safe to meet with you. And if that meant taking my temperature and taking a picture of the thermometer and texting it to them, I totally would do it. I'm just telling you, and you all know I'm corny and over the top, but if that is what it took for me to make them comfortable, I'd be like, look, here's my temperature, I'm good, here's my wipes, I've cleaned, let's have our appointment. Like, just you know, but what we don't want to do is do all of that in the marketing, right? Marketing is aspirational. Marketing is about hope. Marketing is about realism, but knowing what's going on, but tailoring your message. And then when we get to selling, Carrie, that's where we get very one-on-one personal, and we do what we need to do to reassure people it's cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So, all right. So hopefully you've gotten some ideas on updating messaging, updating website, new sales process flow potentially. So I've seen a ton of comments about budgets and marketing, and I've seen some recommendations online, you know, and so I thought, okay. And so when I invited Matt, I said, Matt, can you please speak to what should we be doing with our marketing budgets right now?
Yeah, that's obviously a very big topic. I think that we're going to have a captivated audience there. We're seeing, you know, we're seeing a bump in web traffic. Netflix is going to get flooded, you know, like buy some Netflix stock. But
Seriously.
yeah, I mean, but so me personally, I'm recommending my digital, or my spend as a whole is going to be heavy on social and heavy on PPC. If I'm going to dial any marketing dollars back, I'm going to pull it back in other places. Again, each individual company has its own scenarios, right? So it's easy to make a blanket statement, and kind of my blanket statement, you're going to have to take with a grain of salt, because you're going to have to dive in individually. But I don't personally recommend a big dial back in digital spend, certainly not a halt. If anything, maybe a small increment, but in general, I would say reallocate those funds or pull money back from non-digital sources. I would also focus on, if you don't have content right now, good video walkthrough tours, things like that, Matterport tours. If you can get someone to get out there and do that this week or very, very quickly, I would put funds into content creation if you don't have that already. But I think that's going to live a lot on the social side, Facebook specifically, with really well-crafted Facebook and Instagram ads. So
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, I just can't echo that enough. I mean, in my mind, once we get past what I'm call scrambling and settling, which I expect to last about 7 days, while we're
Yep.
all figuring out what this world looks like, but we're gonna settle into a routine. And once we do that, the only thing, I mean, some of us will still be working, but then some of us are going to be online a lot, and we're going to be at home.
Yep.
And we're going to be, not me, because I just built a new construction home, yay me, but a lot of people are going to be looking around going, I hate this house. I really hate this house. And new homes is an aspirational
Correct.
sale. And it is a dream big, think big, go big, what's possible thing. And people need that. Like, what we do is sell hope. And I'm not trying to get overly mushy on you, but just think, right? And so it may be whatever it is right now, but then we're going to settle into, and we're going to need an escape. And looking at beautiful homes is a great escape. So I think your web traffic is going to go back to surging.
Yep.
Now, here's what I'm predicting. I'm interested, Mike, to see what you think of this. I'm thinking, the way I'm looking at this, is that this surge of traffic, all of this looking that I think will happen, hopefully, right, is what I call very top of the funnel, very early buyer journey. So that's why your OSC is so critical right now. If you don't have an online sales consultant, then you should implement and figure out how to implement live chat right now and round robin your salespeople, or hire Mike and get us online salesperson like today. Because all of this is going to, like, honestly, my willingness to like buy and sign might not be as strong. Like some of you are writing in, you're making sales right now. And I think that's awesome. I really do. But what I will tell you from my experience is that's website traffic that was on your site 45 days ago and has already been maturing and was matured so far that the train couldn't be stopped. But
Yep.
the new pipeline, the new 45 days from now, there ain't any.
Right.
So until they settle, okay? They settle, we'll reset, we'll start over. But that's where that online. So, Mike, do you think it'd be possible to increase live chat hours on the website? Like,
You know, yeah,
be
we can
real
talk through the.
available.
Yeah, we can listen. Live chat is just a communication tool like anything else. So if you've got it and you can staff it, that's great. I mean, yes, you can. If you're going to increase those hours, you need to increase the hours that someone could email, someone could call, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What I don't, you know, I think what stinks about this whole situation is it amplifies maybe some of the, you know, gaps that we already had. So for a lot of people, they're going to be playing catch up. So don't freak out. It's okay. What I would say is, you know, thinking about the shift that's happening right now with everybody doing this, I think there is going to be more activity online. I think there's going to be more people doing things. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be buying activity or they're going to be submitting leads. Angela could speak to this a little bit more, but it's like, you know, salespeople are going to be kicking themselves going, I wish I would have put my traffic in from 3, 4, or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? Because those are the people who told me they were interested. That's where I really think online sales and even salespeople are going to be shifting, is working the people who already gave us the signal. The other two things I want to say real quick, just to marketing. I'm going out of my lane just a little bit, but I'm hearing Kevin Oakley talk about this a lot. A couple of things. One is we've been tracking metrics of almost 50 builders. We have all their analytics. It's been going like this. It's all been good. It's been above the year before. It's been great. And it's starting to meet and dip down below. So we're not seeing increases. If you've been marketing the right way and doing digital the right way, it is coming down to where it was last year. And it will probably keep going kind of like the stock market. So for most builders, that means don't change things too drastically. But for small builders who need to conserve cash or things like that, you got 2, 3, 4 weeks. You could hit pause on a lot of things. I know Matt might freak out on that, but if you're small and you're conserving cash, not many people are not doing anything right now. And so that's the one time where we might make the recommendation of just save that for a second while this all calms down, and then jump right back in and turn it on. That's the greatest thing about digital, is you can go off and you can go on. For a lot of the builders that got to keep selling through, keep it on, keep it going, maybe reduce a little bit here, shift more to PPC if people actively looking, but you know, that's in the marketing side.
I mean, Matt and I'll let you speak for yourself in a second, in the square down there. I mean, I think we would both completely agree that if you're listening and cash flow is king when you're the owner of a business.
Right.
I learned that lesson in 2008 the hard way. So, of course, everything is about cash flow. If you've already budgeted for this and it's in the budget and you've got the amount of inventory and you've got what you need to ride, then leave the digital alone is my perspective. And I'll let Matt give his opinion in a minute. My thought is, honestly, digital, yes, it's easy to pause. I completely agree, Mike. However, I feel like, and I can't prove it statistically, but I feel like digital campaigns take a little while to get momentum, even though it's like literally an on-off switch, on, start, off. It's something about it. It takes like a ramp up time to really get the impressions and get the numbers. I don't know why. Maybe some of you smarter people can tell me why, but I feel like once this turns the corner, the spigot will turn on quickly. I really hope. I hope. Yeah. That may not prove to be true at all, but I hope it does. And so so if you can leave it, I would leave it. But if you can't, cash flow is king. I get it, Matt.
Yeah, and that's why I led that statement with, you can't make a blanket statement. If you're a small builder, every single builder has to analyze their specific situation. And these type of settings, it's easy to make a recommendation, and it's this big sweeping recommendation. But the reality of it is the reality of it. Like, you've got to look at each individual case. Now, the reason, Meredith, is we're talking about the digital ads, they need that ramp up period.
Yeah.
They actually do need a ramp up period. And if you're utilizing AI the right way on the back end of Facebook specifically, they go into learning phases. When you make updates to ads and changes and you shut them off and turn it back on, they've got to relearn what you want them to do. And it's got to go through that whole process again. So there is a slight danger in turning them off, especially if your ads are performing really well and you change those and then you go turn it back on. It's not quite anymore like the water faucet where you just turn it on and turn it off. From the spend perspective, it is, but from an ad efficiency perspective, it's not. And so that's why I say each individual builder has to look at their specific case. And I don't want to stand up here and be like, do this, and then it's not.
Two things I want to say to that. First of all, guys, everybody's totally right. I'm just making the point that we're talking about the next 2 to 3 weeks if everybody's locked down. That's what I'm saying there. And you're a small builder. For 90% of the builders, you're just getting smart, you're adjusting, you're already doing that. But there are some people, it's like, the other thing that is the truth. This is a fact. This is a truth. I can't say this up here. Stop doing the crap that doesn't work. You guys are all going to figure that out really quick, of things that you bought, stuff that you spent. They're like, oh, wow, we thought it was great, but it really was just the market, not the tool, not the market. So that is the good news about something like this, is it really sharpens everybody up and goes, oh, we should be focusing on things that drive real live results. So that's a good thing, that'll shut that stuff down right away.
Okay. Hang on one sec. Okay. Sue, just a little check-in with the audience. It's 4:51. We still have a bunch of stuff to cover. If you need to leave at 5 o'clock, we get you. It's cool. But as long as my panelists are available, we're going to kind of keep riffing here and keep going. Okay.
It's 10 to 2 in Vancouver, so I've got all afternoon.
Right? And even if one of my panelists needs to jump off, like, I get it. It's all good. But I do have a bunch more topics to cover. So if you can hang with us, hang with us. Okay. So shifting gears. I want to shift.
I want to jump one thing on marketing and budgets if I can.
Oh, sure, please, of course.
So as you're talking about spend and stopping spend or starting spend or spending what you have or whatever that is, in situations like this is what I like to have companies and salespeople think. What is your low-hanging fruit and what can you do for free? Back in the day, there was guerrilla marketing like crazy that we did. So I'm gonna give you this point right now. Mike, Matt, any of you guys can jump in. The percentage of sales that is recorded from signage, maybe not now, but back a while ago from signage, it was a huge number, right? Somebody throw me the number out. 90, 86%, they write signs. Okay, so what are you doing for the signage that is free? It's just your manual labor pretty much. Like, do you still have, if you're not open, does your sign on your corner still say model open? Are you doing things to not frustrate people while they're a little frustrated? And then clear signage is, have a message that you have that's the physical message for the people that maybe aren't as touched by this. Not every single person is as touched by this as another might be. And what if they walk up to your model going, I would think they might stay open. What does that say? What is my call to action to do that I've come to your model and it's closed? So I just had to throw in the free signage marketing idea.
Okay. All right. So we're going to shift gears. And Allie Wolf with the Myers Group, who's not pictured, but very much here and listening in. We're going to let Allie give an update. Allie, tell us what the Myers Group does a little bit in case anyone isn't familiar, just quick 30-second. And then I invited you because I get the most incredible emails from you at least once a week that are the most detailed, informative. Listen, y'all, if you aren't signed up for the Myers Group research groups emails, you're missing out on some of the best information in the industry. Seriously, this is meaty stuff. And one of the ones they recently sent out about the Fed rate cut and what that meant, I actually understood. So I thought it would be great to have her. Allie, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. And just so I know you said no self-promotion. This is not self-promotion. We have a free webinar tomorrow on COVID-19 where we're going to do a full 30 to 45 minutes of what it means for the housing market. And so it's free. You can get the registration email, I think, on our website. But we're a housing data and consultancy firm, and we track the new home market mostly, but of course, to track the new home market, you also have to understand what's going on in existing. And so we've been trying really hard to just make sense of, one, what does this virus mean for the economy? And as our chief economist, I have to know, or to the best of my ability, when is the next recession? What could it look like? How do we have to pay attention to it? How can we prevent it? What are some of the positive growth things that we're seeing in the market? And I have a full deck, but I don't think I'm going to screen share. I'll just kind of talk you through some of the highlights from it. But the way we're looking at it, we start kind of high level, just as where are we coming from? And as you heard from Meredith and the other experts, we're coming from a really solid place. A lot of people said February was their best sales that they've had this entire cycle. When you look at the unemployment, the unemployment data, the employment data, all of that was really solid. We've seen a big shift in the personal savings rate. So we've seen people now having 8% of their income that they're holding on for a rainy day versus 2% of their income back in 2005. And so we say, okay, we're in a slightly, it's not going to completely withstand us, but we're in a better place than we were going into the Great Recession. Plus, we've seen the economy has just been pummeled with, hey, rates go up to 5%. Can you withstand it? Well, not right away, but then we came back. Hey, we have a trade war. Can you withstand it? Kind of took us down. Stock market had some pullback, and then we kept growing. The stuff with Iran at the beginning of this year, we were able to get through it, and everyone thought that was going to be the final thing. And we're still growing, and we had the best year in February. So today we're obviously faced with something that even the smartest experts, or this is kind of where economics and science come together and trying to make sense of what does the coronavirus mean. And I think for me, as I look at this, and everything about the housing market relates to the economy, because if we're in a recession, it means that we're not going to have jobs. If we don't have jobs, we're not going to have buyers. And so we kind of have to step back to go through this whole thing. But what we see is the economy is broken up into four main categories. You have consumers, businesses, government, and trade. And I think the biggest concern about the coronavirus is that when we look at this, we've said, and Meredith has probably seen me write this in the emails like every time, the consumer is 70% of the economy. So paying attention to that is the most critical. And that's the concern with right now, is that COVID-19 obviously is a direct impact on number one. Now, that's where then the Fed's move that happened on Sunday comes to step in, because it's not just me and you that know 70% of the economy is consumers. It's also policymakers who are saying, oh my gosh, we're seeing things are starting to slow. I think most parts of the country now are at that full lockdown mode. And they're saying we need to act fast, and we need to act ahead of any kind of data showing that there's a problem in the market. So they did cut rates. They cut short-term rates. And as many of you know, short-term rates, that's not actually mortgage rates. The more important thing that they did was they committed to buying at least $500 billion in treasuries and $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. Now, that you probably don't know that much about, and you don't need to. What you need to understand about that is that the 10-year treasury and mortgage rates are closely linked together. And in the recent weeks, we've seen the 10-year treasury go really low. And so you would expect that rates would go really low. And we saw that for a while, and rates went down to 3.2%, and that was awesome. And then they spiked up. And they got back above 4% like really, really quick. And no one saw that coming, because that shouldn't happen. And so that's why the Fed is stepping in, is they're saying these two should be linked. These two should not have a widening spread. That says that there's something systemically wrong. And so the Fed is here to try to step in and to try to support keeping mortgage rates low. So I think that's good news for us as the home building industry, is that they are trying to make sure we don't see that spike in rates, because that's really one of the driving things that we have going for us right now, is a lot of markets, not all, and not all price points, but in a lot of markets, you can afford a home at a similar price or even better price than where rental rates are today. Now, beyond that, the Fed also did some big moves both on Sunday and actually today to get more access to consumers, get more access to small businesses, and get access to big businesses, giving them different credit lines at very low rates, saying, we know it's going to be hard to hit payroll. We know that you may have to do some dramatic cuts, but we're here for you. And we can give you that short-term loan, and we can help you, assuming that we can get the COVID-19 under control. Then this is putting us in a really good position to move forward and have some growth. So
Allie,
yep.
Hey, sorry, let me jump in for a second. So if you were counseling, and I guess you are because you're talking to them all right now, if you were counseling on site and even online sales counselors, kind of what are the positives that are also realistic and don't sound like stupid talking points that people can emphasize about buying a home right now?
I think, well, I don't know how to say this without
It's
sounding
hard.
dramatic.
I know. I asked you like the hardest question of the hour. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But is there any, like, out of that economic news, like, what can we kind of emphasize that is credible? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's the rent versus own is really, to me, this is the long-standing benefit of owning a home, of paying to yourself, of building equity, of one day, maybe it's not right now, but in the long run, you're hopefully going to see some home price appreciation. This is an investment in you. This is investment in your finances. The only thing is, like, I talked to a lady this morning actually who said, oh, I maybe am thinking about buying, but it's $700 more than what I'm paying in rent. And so she's like, I'm not going to do it actually, because if I lose my job, I can't cover that extra $700. So I think that's where, as long as the math is close, I think that's your number one thing. Why would you not? Why would you not take advantage of rates that are at the lowest levels they've ever been in history? Yeah. Yes, they've gone up, but still, if you look at the longer term trend, why would you not?
Yeah.
That's a great point, Allie. I saw someone giving scripts out to their sales team that kind of piggybacked on that, because everybody's paying attention to all this up and down and the volatility. They said, even though there's been volatility in the stock market from recent highs, however, interest rates remain low and we continue to see good demand for new homes in our area. That's factual, and that's not like it's the best time to buy.
Correct.
But it's factual. I think that's the hard thing. Even as I'm a salesperson too, I'm like, but you were waiting to buy, like, this is it. It may not be it, because we can't control people's jobs or situation. Are they going to get relocated? Is their husband going to lose their job? Is there, so but we appreciate how you're talking through this stuff and even clarifying some of the differences, because I think everybody does get PTSD and think 2008, and you just got to tell them to go watch The Big Short and say, it's not the same. It's big, but it's not the same.
Honestly, Mike, I've never been able to watch it. I'm being totally honest. I can't watch that movie.
You get the tick.
I do. I can't watch that movie. I lived that movie. Like, I can't watch. Alan's watched it. He's like, it's a really good movie. I'm like, yeah, I lived it. Don't need to watch it. Thanks.
Well, for those of you too who are looking at the differences, who haven't been through this and want a history lesson, obviously The Big Short's entertaining. There's a great This American Life called The Giant Pool of Money. So if you guys want to figure out what the difference is and what it means for home building and real estate and mortgage business, it's called The Giant Pool of Money. It's great. It's unbiased, and it just kind of walks you through what's going on. Again, it's not going to be like this, and I'm excited for that webinar tomorrow, but it's not going to be, this is still big. I think that's the other thing we got to be careful of. And I even got trapped at the beginning, is going, hey, this isn't 2008. No, it's 2020, and it might be a crap show, but
no, and
what are you gonna do as a business?
Allie, go ahead.
To jump on that, and if you are on our webinar tomorrow, you'll see, but we've kind of created two different recession forecasts. And one is that it's so short, like, I think every single one of us will feel it in the next month. I think we'll all feel just our lives are different. There's different restrictions on us. And the hope is that all of those painful measures and the weather is enough to really kind of nip this in the bud, and we can get back to normal as soon as May. But I think that we also have to be realistic that it could turn into something bigger. And we're constantly challenging it and checking the data. So I'm not saying that right now, but I'm saying that as we keep telling ourselves everything's going to be fine, we could be setting ourselves up for a shock. I'm not saying that yet. I'm just saying be prepared that it could go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, and I'm putting it in the live chat right now. I have established a Facebook group for anyone who participated today or anyone else who's interested. And we will get the link to that webinar in that group sometime this evening. I see that my dog Hershey has woken up. Hershey, shh. And we'll get that link posted. And then any of the panelists on today, if you've referenced something that you want to link to in that group, feel free. As long as we're not self-promoting, I'm cool with it. Okay. Allie, thank you. I know that you had to jump at 5, so we appreciate you and your time. Of course, stay on if you can, but if you've got to go, we get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Allie.
Thanks, Allie. Great info.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is some of the best information that I get every week that gives me real-time updates. That's what's happening. So highly recommend. We'll get a link out to you on that too. Okay, next topic. I want to go to Carrie and Angela, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about protecting backlog. That there is that keep your eye on the ball. You've got people under contract, and these two are two of the best people I know on nurturing, follow up, staying in touch, using your CRM to really stay with your backlog. I talked to a marketing manager today that said 1 community, 3 cancellations on Saturday. 1 community, because they're scared. So Angela, Carrie, take it away.
So one of the things I just want to say when we talk about we've got to instill confidence within our own people too. We're instilling confidence with our purchasers and our prospects and such, but we also have to instill confidence in our own people. And I think we have to equip them with the tools. I heard the word yesterday, being a trusted advisor, and that's what we need to be as leaders within an organization, but then we also need to relay that to our prospects and to purchasers. When we've talked about the tools that we should be using with our prospects, we need to be using those tools internally. Mike, you talked about just an all hands on deck call just before this meeting with your team. I mean, that's something as a virtual team, you are accustomed to doing that, and you do it on a regular basis. I don't think every organization is used to that and used to doing that virtually. And it's really important to have those tools in place within your own organization. Have Zoom, have, whatever you choose, go to meeting, whatever it is, make sure you're doing that. As sales and marketing people, we crave connection. And I think we're missing that to some degree. Some of us are used to that working remotely, but beforehand, but now more than ever, I think we're missing that. And I think that will also help with additional communication with respect to these challenges of people canceling, what to do. Let's have open discussion about how to prevent that. But one of the big things for me is really you've got to create that personal connection with your prospects and your purchasers, and you've got to instill that confidence. You've got to continue to communicate with them as to the status and what's happening. You need to talk in the sense of we as an organization and provide some unity and confidence that this is something that you are that your company is working on, and it's not an easy time. We all we're questioning ourselves often as well, and we can expect, if you look at it from your purchaser's eyes, they're questioning it as well, and it's really important to communicate on a regular basis and to reach out and be proactive. Make sure that it's not just email that you're using, that you're picking up the phone and talking with people and understanding what their challenges are. I think that's probably the first step. Too much is done. Email is important, and it's a great form of communication, but I think in a time like this, one-on-one personal phone calls and is the number one,
Right.
especially with our purchasers.
Your voice is reassuring, when they hear your voice, to hear your voice, if you sound reassuring. Now,
Right.
I had somebody call me today that were like, one of my salespeople is freaking out and she's freaking everybody else out. And so like, if you're freaking out, maybe don't call right then. Like, you need to sound reassuring. Carrie, what do you want to pipe in?
Every single thing that Angela said, I live on Zoom with people. There are probably people right now going, seriously, we feel like there's an invite in our box like all the time. But all of a sudden it is the calming force, so that you don't want to get things bigger than it really is, and you don't want your customers to get it bigger than it is. So it's like, the question is to nurture or not to nurture. It's what do you nurture with? What is the information that you believe would be calming, and what are the things that I can send to people? What are my messages? And I just like to have people not take lightly right now the fragility, if that's a word, I'll go fragile, state that these people, and take it like this is gold. If I'm in my pipeline, if I'm searching and I'm nurturing, it's not like, so I was just checking in. No, you weren't. You weren't just checking in. You made an intentional, conscious decision to see if they were okay and if they needed your help. If we ever had the time where, this is going to sound funny because this goes way back, God, I don't even know how far back, to selling the sizzle instead of the steak. Because if they're not going to see the steak, the inside of the model, then what is the sizzle? So what is your photography that you're sending them? What are you doing? But it's really important that you care enough to send the very best, like Hallmark says. And that very best is you and your voice and your personal touch. And I'll leave this part, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Physically nurture it, but just make sure that whatever you do, it's not all this one-off stuff. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Embed your touch points and make them duplicable and franchise, that you can do it again and again.
Okay, cool.
Sir,
Angela, follow up on that.
Yeah.
And then audience, just letting you know, I've gone through, I've made a list of all the questions we haven't addressed in chat, and we're coming to those next. So stay tuned. Okay,
well,
go ahead.
I was just going to add, it kind of came to me because it's, it's what we do as in our company. And, we look at it from the eyes of the purchaser, look at it from the eyes of and what would you be asking at this point right now if you signed a contract 2 weeks ago? And what would be on your mind and your concerns? And proactively, and this is what we try to do, proactively reach out to those purchasers and talk to them. And when I say reach out, not the checking in email, like Carrie, it's a phone call, and have a discussion and figure out what their worries are and address those. And if you can be preemptive, if you can prevent it from happening, you can answer those questions ahead of time in advance and instill that confidence.
So real quick, Angela, to your point, and then Meredith, you can go to questions, is that the words that you say have huge value right now with the sensitivity that everybody has. So like, think about what it is you're saying. I was working with people today about saying, upon the recovery, meaning clearly upon it, not when it recovers, upon the recovery, where do you see yourself? And if someone says, looking for a house, that's what I'm going to buy. I mean, so upon the recovery, where do you see yourself? Because we know we are. And now you're all of a sudden, that's the best medicine you can give someone. Upon the recovery, where do you see yourself? Because it might not be all that long. We don't know.
All right, very good. Okay, here we go, panelists. We've got a ton of questions in here that I don't see answers to, so I want to make sure that those get answered. All right, number one, we've got a question, and I'm sorry if I don't have your name that asked it. Should we be doing a lockbox on decorated models so we can assist people with getting in without a person having to let them in? And of course, there's products out there that do unattended access, right, and do that very well. So anybody want to jump in on allowing that to happen?
I'll go and
Go ahead.
I don't think it's a bad idea. Again, I think should there be some more stringent policies in place and procedures? How do you monitor that? So that's really the question. I mean, in a perfect world, we go, this is great, no people. I mean, we know a company that's doing this via a robot and an iPad, essentially, and that is great until the person that comes in behind them doesn't feel confident with what's happened in between appointments. And again, hopefully that is all just temporary. So I don't know if that's the immediate solution. It's definitely a good long-term solution, but I don't know if that's immediate solution as people are a little bit more nervous about some of those things, both appropriately so, and then some people are just, it's a heightened awareness on cleanliness in between appointments, or that someone would go at the same time.
Yeah. For me, I've always been in favor of any kind of that kind of access, to be honest. I know with models, there's an increased issue with things walking out the door. I get it. But
Another spoon.
and yeah, but as far as you can push the ability for people to get in and feel comfortable with it, I think you push that to the far edge of your comfort zone and maybe a little bit past, would be my opinion. Okay. We had a question, Matt, I know you do a lot of this. Best virtual appointment options, specifically tech tools for best virtual appointment tools.
So starting with actually setting the appointment, Calendly is a great option to physically set the appointment. If you can get with your web developer and do some calendar, be able to let someone on an individual specific home go in and schedule their own showing that way. If you've got the ability to do unattended access, is a great way to do that. Other tools of actual, how do I conduct this meeting? There are tools, there's Zoom, there's Skype. Skype is one that, I mean, everybody, you've heard, it's almost like the word Google, everybody just knows what it is. So it depends on the platform they're using, but I think like a Zoom, a Skype, something that doesn't require a lot of actual install to make happen.
Right.
If they have an Apple device, FaceTime is great. Even like WhatsApp is a universal app that you can use for video calling, even Facebook video calling. If they have Facebook Messenger installed, that's another great option, because everybody typically is going to have Facebook installed on their phone at least. So doing something like that. But so calendar integration from a place like Calendly to actually set that up. Tools like Zoom, Skype, Facebook Video Messenger, things like that. Those are some good tools to give specific virtual tours or, the walkthrough. I really like using Zoom. I'm a big Zoom fan. I know we're on it, especially when you're going through and you're wanting to complete the actual process. So DocuSign or a .loop kind of software for digital signatures, being able to sit down and do a video conference like this, look someone eye to eye, do a screen share, walk them through the contract like you would in person, making sure that, they understand each point, because it's really important, as we all know, when we're writing contracts, that it's where it all falls apart is not setting the right expectations up front, and just sending someone a contract that doesn't do contracts all the time and just telling them to sign it and send it back is really opening yourself up for problems down the road. So doing that is a great way to continually progress people forward. I would be doing that for contracts, design appointments, pre-construction meetings, anything and everything where you can get an internet connection. I would be doing that if the customer is comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, quick little point for you guys. First of all, I'm surprised no one's talked about TikTok. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. little joke there for everybody. No TikTok for virtual anything. So as it relates to the software that you use, remember, salespeople, sales managers, marketing directors that are listening to this, whatever you use, you're going to have to be tech support on it. So while on site, someone might go, I can turn my Zoom on. If they can't teach someone on the other end how to install, download, press the button, do the stuff, woo, that's a problem. That's why I think going to basic, strip down anything first, FaceTime and Skype, like Matt was saying, those are kind of universal. And they've been set up for mass appeal. Zoom steps up a level of complexity.
Yep.
GoToMeeting steps up complexity. Uber Conference up a level of complexity. So make sure you got to support it.
Yeah, we did not offer beverages at this meeting, and that comment just made me feel like I needed a beverage.
The struggle is real.
Honestly, I hadn't thought of that. That's a great point.
I know, and this is just, we do thousands like every year. We're on hours. It's 100% of our business is doing what you see right here. Inevitably, 80% of what we do, the first whole session is, this is how you use it. This is how you turn your webcam on. This is why you need to have a headset. This is why. And so they go, it's easy. We can sign up. It's a free trial. It downloads on my phone in 2 seconds. Make sure you practice. So practice. Don't do it with your customers. Practice internally. Get that stuff going, right? That's what you got to do.
Adding to that, like on making sure that we can do it quickly. Another one tool that I forgot to mention was BombBomb. Video email when you're communicating. Mike turned me on to BombBomb like 8 years ago, it seems like, probably actually. And it's been a part of my life since, and use it every day. And so that's a really great way to get your message face to face, even though it's an email. But one of the things to take some redundancy out and shorten the learning curve with your buyers on how you're going to do things is do a quick video screen record 1 or 2 minute tutorial on, this is how we're going to conduct this meeting, and this is what you need to download. Click here to, like if they don't know how to do it, and you're giving that to them hours or days in advance, so they're a little bit prepped for that meeting, and it doesn't take the first 15 minutes of being frustrated to figure it all out, if that's the route you need to go as well.
If you're listening and you're struggling, I am one of the lesser tech savvy people in this call, but I get by. So if you need a Zoom, if you need a Zoom tutorial and a group of you will get together at the same time, or I can do it at the same time, I am happy to teach you.
Yeah.
Really, I will teach you Zoom, I will teach you FaceTime, whatever, but you have to agree on the same time and show up, because we're doing a lot of this. Mike's right. My day-to-day life is typically, on average, I do 5 to 6 Zooms a day, but the difference is, Mike, I don't turn my webcam on for most of them. If you do not tell me in advance I need to be webcam worthy, I will not be. And then Matt has seen it. It's a ball cap. It ain't pretty.
Or she ducks behind the desk.
I know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ange.
Oh, I was just going to say, if I can make one recommendation to any organization, is really instill a video. You're not in the meeting unless you're on video. And I really we try to instill that. And I know it's not popular with everyone, but it keeps everyone present. First of all, there's no distractions.
Right.
And it keeps the meeting shorter.
Right.
And it's good practice, right? I mean, we need to see ourselves on video. This is the world we're in right now, and we need to get comfortable with it. And I really, as uncomfortable as that may be, as I'm saying this, and people may be laughing who are with lasso or ECI, it is really, really important.
Yeah, I
couldn't agree more.
I totally agree. You just have to give me a heads up. Okay. Next question in the chat.
That's why I'm sitting back.
Stop you real quick. So he talked about BombBomb. BombBomb has a feature. It's paid, but it has a feature where you can do screen recorder. Another one that's free is called Loom. It's called Use Loom. And this is something you can really easily just start recording and show people exactly what to do and how to do it, or even demonstrate things on your website, and it's totally free. So that tool is called useloom.com or Loom.
Loom's a great tool for free. It works really well.
Okay.
They actually just there used to be a 5-minute limit, and that for now I think they took the limit off.
Nice.
Yeah, during the virtual stuff we're going through right now, I think that's pretty
right.
cool.
Okay. The next question was, has anybody seen what KB is doing? KB has already shut down all the models and already pivoted to virtual. I think we kind of covered this a lot already, but I did want to acknowledge that question. And maybe more just make a statement that they're pivoting. So check out what they're doing. Next question was, we have an event in I think it was coming up.
Oh, good question.
Where was that? Shoot. My notes are failing
they said
me.
they had a pre-sale event coming up with 120 people,
120
roughly.
people coming.
Yeah. So what do we think about that? Pre-sale event coming up with 120 people signed up.
Here we've seen a couple builders do this already, where they had to shift really quick because of city ordinances. So what you have to do is you can do something private that you're streaming and have people join, and then you can switch to one-on-one / virtual appointments. But just check your city ordinance. We can't tell you what you can and can't do, but we were supposed to go skiing this week, even though they hadn't shut down the lifts. And Corey and I looked at it, it's like, there's no way they're keeping lifts open. That's like the last thing that's open. And so we pulled the plug on Friday. I think if you were to keep planning down that direction, most likely you're going to see limits, as Trump is saying 10 or less and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, once that rolled out federally, 10 or less, isn't that it? Harry, you want to jump in?
Yeah. To Mike's point, that's what you have to be aware of. Is your statute at 10 or 50 or what it is? But I think that what you want to keep as much normal as you possibly can. So doing that, having no events is not the answer. It's how do you think about what kind of events? So whether you do like Facebook Live there, which I think I saw Corrine said that, like meet the builder, visit our model today on Saturday, and you just take your iPad and FaceTime. We do not want to instruct our buying public for a short period of time to not buy, nor to buy completely differently. And a lot of people spend a lot of time and money on events. So please don't go ballistic on canceling the events. Just figure out how to have them.
So you're saying shift the event maybe from in person to online.
Correct.
Because I mean, if the rule in your area is no more than 10, no more than 50, I mean, you can't have more than that. Like you're liable.
And this is part of your branding and who you are seen as in the public. What are you saying on your website? What are your signs on your models saying? Who are you as a company and as a person? Is being respectful is always like a really good thing to be known as. Yeah. They respected the situation.
Well, here's the reality. They asked me 2 weeks ago. I was in Phoenix. I was coming back. I said, this stuff is the flu. Y'all crazy. Who needs masks? And now you shift gears and go, interesting. This is different than what we knew before. And you have to do what's socially responsible. And so a lot of people are going to look at that. I see you in there, Ashley, and sales directors excited. Everybody wants to get sales when they can, but is that considered socially responsible?
Right.
And right now, I would say 7 out of 10 people would say no.
Yeah. And the position you're putting your brand in, bigger picture, oh, please, that is so much bigger than what this temporary situation is.
Right.
And a word of encouragement. Yeah. A word of encouragement too is that we had a builder just do this and just shifted and just went to one-on-one appointments and just did virtual stuff, and it was very successful. Yeah. So no, you're not going to have a crowd, but nobody's talking about crowds right now. So who cares?
Yeah.
I would say my recommendation on that would be, I would communicate out to your list immediately that we're not hosting the event. I would then fast forward and say, we are doing one-on-one appointments within X number of blocks. And it would be, I would set up a calendar for people to start signing up, and I would be doing it that way. And if it's 2 weeks out, I would literally start doing appointments within the next 24 hours and fast track that, and go that direction. And if you want to do virtual events, where you're just like streaming something live instead of someone walking around with a camera, if you want a good camera to use, it's called Mevo, M-E-V-O. It's about $400. You can get a hotspot, or it'll connect to a hotspot or a Wi-Fi connection. And actually, through Verizon, you can actually have a data plan for it as well. Put it on a tripod. It's got a wide angle of view. It's got a decent enough sound. And you can be streaming a live event, and you don't have to be having somebody follow you around with an iPhone or a camera or something. So a good way to stream live events that way.
And Matt, will you post that later in the Facebook group, so that everybody's got that to see? Okay. I know people are hopping off because of time. I do want to remind you guys that are here with us that I am going to do this again next Tuesday. I have not asked these sweet people if they're going to be here next Tuesday or not. I don't want to infringe upon them. They literally got this weird email from me out of nowhere and just volunteered with no information. So I'm not having any expectations on anybody else. But I'll be here because this is changing rather rapidly. Yeah. And that's why I brought this up to the, and maybe one of these other folks puts another team member on, whatever makes sense for you. But
I'm happy to help.
But the point is that the reason I'm saying this, it has a point, focus, Meredith, is Mike just said a few days ago, flying, I was like, whatever, right? I mean, we all kind of were. I was at a conference last week, keynoting still. And by the time I got home, and then by Saturday in the weekend, I was like, you have my attention now. Yeah. So I don't know what it looks like a week from now. I hope it looks better, but I will be back here feeding back to you whatever's happening out there, best practices that I can share. Next,
Meredith, real quickly to piggyback that, to let everybody know that part of the beauty of next week is, we were all with you on Sunday, and now we jumped on this. We will know more. So, and we will be as current as we possibly can to give you hands-on examples.
Yeah, we'll work hard because I'm talking to everybody constantly. So I'll be working hard to gathering what's working, what isn't, and we'll share that. Okay, two last things, and it looks like everybody's hopping out, so we'll let you go. One is, how do we set expectations that if you aren't well, please don't come to your appointment? Or, what is a good messaging for kind of setting the expectation that if you are going to come, Mike's shaking his head, no.
I don't want to give advice. At the end of the day, we're not doctors. I think you just have to say, follow protocol. There's a gazillion emails talking about what that looks like right now. I would steal something from some of these people that have lawyered up and know what to say.
That's what I would say. Yeah. That's what I would say. Yeah. If your inbox, if it's not in your inbox, it's in your junk folder, is full of 100 legally written emails yesterday with everyone's protocols. Yeah. I will say that Corrine Bachman with French Brothers was kind enough in advance to send me her letter that they're sending out to existing customers that they worked on, and she gave me permission to share it, so you can get with me and I can get you that. And it has some language in there for that. But again, you got to go back to your legal team and figure that out. Okay. We have a master planned community with 10 builders who every one of them is doing something different. Mm-hmm. What do we do?
Do the socially responsible thing. Socially responsible thing. That's what you do. Don't worry about your competitors. Do what is right. That's my opinion.
It.
Someone else can answer that.
And I think over time, I think they'll all come together.
Mhm.
Some are probably lagging behind,
Right.
but I think within the next day or two or sooner, you'll start to see those builders who maybe aren't on the same page recognize.
And a word of encouragement too on that FOMO of like, well, but we might miss that traffic. People are not like, I got to do this now. Trust me. Like, so they'll consider their options and they'll look at everybody else around you. I wouldn't just do the socially responsible thing.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I think the very last thing you want to do right now is put your brand in the position of not on the ethical social responsibility. It's more important. It just says,
you know what, guys, there's a whole big group of people that in 2019, they made a commitment and set a plan to build a new home in 2020. And they need us to help follow through, to help them with the timing of being able to fulfill that commitment that they made to their families, to their budgets, to whatever, so that they can still build a home and get in a new home this year. And we know how long the building process has gotten extended. So I think helping those people to understand that they're committed, and if they're a little, I don't even want to use scared or frightened, they just need us. It's such a cool thing to be needed at a time like this. We've got nurses and doctors and all these people that are needed. We in the new home industry are needed right now to settle the nerves and have the people that made a commitment to each other. 2020 was their year to get in a new home.
Yeah. All right. We're going to pull this together and wrap this up. A couple of quick things. One is, again, if you guys could have even seen like how this went down, Matt, Carrie, Mike, and Angela and Allie all got this weird 2-sentence email from me that said, I'm going to do a town hall live on Tuesday. Do you want to help? And with zero hesitation, replied yes. And then I wrote back, and if you promote something, I'll delete you from the meeting immediately. And I still got, yes, I will be there. So they've just given you over 90 minutes of their time, which bills at a much higher rate, I can assure you. So guys, I can't even tell you thank you enough. Like, thank you. I called and you answered, and I just appreciate you. Number two, I would say that we jokingly talk about PTSD from 2008. There's a couple of things I want to say about that. One is, when we joke about that, it's very important to me that you hear me, that we're joking, and that we understand it's a very real thing. And when it comes to like our military service members, we would never, ever say that anything would compare to that and that very real thing. So as an industry, we all joke about it constantly. And I just want to temper that a little bit. So just please be careful with that language. But at the same time, what I want to say to you is, our version of what we joke about PTSD from 2008 is also very real. It's just, you want to be careful about how you talk about that, because it doesn't compare to serving your country and dealing with what those folks have dealt with, right?
That's true. Yep. Good point.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but at the same time, those of us that have been around that long, I know couldn't possibly look that old. We do have it. And it's very real. And the panic and the fear, it kicks in. And I have had to fight it multiple times since all this started. And there have been some tears, and there have been some frustration. And there have been times like, are you kidding me? Like, I already did 08. I'm good. Like, I've resilient up. I've already written a keynote about it. I'm good. Like, I rebuilt the business after that. I rebuilt the home after that. Like, I did all the things. I'm good. Thanks. But here we are again. Here we are.
Yeah.
So we're here. And what is important from a leadership perspective, and Stacy Rummage from Open Door sent me an email that I can forward to any of you about how to have crucial conversations with your team. But I talk to a lot of you where your leadership is not talking to you right now.
Mhm.
That's a problem. Fix that. Because the whiplash, those of us that have been around, it kicks in and we get scared.
Yeah.
So we need to hear from our leaders. We need to know what we're doing. We need clear policies. We need clear procedures. We need to start now, like we mean to go on, like the end. So fix that. And then recognize your own moments of fear and how you deal with that fear. There are some of us that deal with fear by going, what virus? It's not a big deal. I'm looking for toilet paper. It's no big deal. We joke, we laugh, we mock. That's how we handle fear. For some of you, that's appalling. Understand that's how that person deals with fear, and maybe give it a little grace. There are other people that deal with fear by posting every single study of every single simulation, and we're all going to die. And to other people, that's appalling and not that helpful. That's how that person deals with fear. So we're a little bit of grace. So as we all work through it, grace and just giving each other a little room to breathe on how we all deal with it will go a really long way to helping us all deal with it. And maybe for yourself, even recognizing I'm snapping at people, I'm being aggressive in meetings, I'm whatever coping mechanism you use to deal with fear, just kind of knowing you're doing that. And maybe you could try to dial that back just a little bit, because it is very real, right? So we love you guys. We are here for you. I told you at the beginning, I made a promise to myself to step up the next time. I really didn't want a next time, and I'm really not happy about it, but I'm here and I'm doing it. And so are the other people on this call. All right, so we will be back, or I will be back next Tuesday.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
We've learned a ton about how to actually do this. So maybe by next week, we'll actually know what we're doing. But come back, join the Facebook group, and let's keep the conversation going. I love you guys. Thank you. Be good.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Be well.
Bye.
Stay healthy. As long as you have your health, nothing else matters. Remember that. True fact.
True dat.
True dat.
Thanks,
See ya.
Meredith.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.